halfway to 84. We are moving. Throw it out there. That's right. Nice plug. I like it. Yeah. Yeah. Flat. Yeah. Yeah. Whole week. Which is, yeah, it was still kind of weird what happened there. They really didn't say it was positive, or it was technically they did it out of precaution. So I don't, whatever that means. Who knows anymore? Yeah. There you go. I don't know if I know what you're talking about, so I'm excited to hear about it. I'm not. I'm not. True. Yeah, I don't have any idea. Yeah. c- Correct. We came out right where Vegas came out. I think Vegas actually started at 8.5. It moved all the way to 7.5. So depending on where you got Illinois, they might have covered for you, but probably not. So um but yeah, just not a high scoring game. So this is kind of the what we are seeing. Illinois either scores a bunch or they grind one out. But player of the game for me is going to be Curbelo. It would have been Kofi, but Kofi went 0 for 6 from the free throw line. You don't deserve to be player of the game when you go 0 for 6 from the free throw line. So, but Curbelo 4 of 8, 8 points, 6 assists. I think he's leading Big Ten during Big Ten play with like 6.6 assists per game. And he had another nice steal, a nice little read pass, and took it down. And I think Curbelo called it a soft dunk, is what he classified it as. Um, Nice little layup, whatever you want to call it. He did have 3 turnovers. One was a double dribble, which I really didn't have a good angle on it, so I don't really know. Curbelo seemed upset about it. And then another one was when Illinois is running the weave again, just like he did the game before, and he tried to cut through 2 defenders. So I do like him doing that, but apparently he hasn't figured out exactly how to do it. Um, but we've said it every week, I think now that, or every episode, since these are not weekly episodes anymore, because we're pumping out content for you guys. But I mean, the game's just different when Curbelo's in. And so I guess the question that all of Twitter hashtag Illini is asking is, should Curbelo start? Um, and I've been one of the pushers of him starting, but Curbelo actually, after the game in the interview, they were talking to him, and he said that he actually likes coming off the bench. He likes to see, what's going on in the game, where he can help the team, and what he needs to do to come in and help out. But you can't deny the facts. Illinois was plus 26 when Curbelo was on the court, with Miller on the court -2. And I think Frazier was like 0, but I'll give him that, because Frazier played great defense this game. But and when you look at it, Curbelo's still playing 28 minutes, Miller's playing 20, so he's still getting his minutes regardless. You know who's going to be on the court when the game matters, and it's definitely going to be Curbelo. So his defense has improved. Yep. From what we've seen, yeah. Yeah. Sure. The referees were, yeah.
Stream, and I keep forgetting to turn my mic on, so that's good. So the episode will be able to hear me, but the YouTube stream will not until now. So great job by me not noticing.
Well, now you turned your mic on and you're lagging, so it's all good.
6 minutes. Is it good?
Yeah, you're good.
I mean, God, this is not good.
I tell you what, you need to upgrade your equipment if we're going to keep this going, and you're asking for sponsorships.
I think that's true. Am I lagging right now?
You're good right now.
We'll find out. Okay.
We'll see what happens.
That's the second time that I forgot to turn my mic on the YouTube stream, so that's an issue. That's probably why we need a producer, but whatever. Player of the game for me, you were wondering if I was going to be original, and I am. DeMonte Williams, player of the game.
Good.
Great defense, made plays, 1 steal, 1 block, 12 points, 3 threes, 10 rebounds. Now, he did have a couple threes. One of them was a rare bad take.
I agree.
And it wasn't the type where he's open, it's in a catch and shoot. He actually I didn't like that, but
forced it a little bit. I did notice that.
I can excuse that. But I didn't go Kofi also because of the free throw issues.
Absolutely.
0 for 6. That's bad. That's actually as bad as it gets. The free throws were just horrendous in this game. If Illinois shot better from the line in this game, they probably win it by 20, or at least 15. You can't. I mean, the fact that they what were their final numbers from the free throw line? Like 9 for 22.
9 of 22.
Yeah, if you can go 9 for 22 from the line and beat a middle tier Big Ten team by 8, I mean, I think you take it. I think really you take any Big Ten win. And everyone looked at their first 10 games in the Big Ten schedule. They're like, oh my God, they're going to go 10-0. Pump the brakes, but I think 4-1 is a good start to that. If they finish 7-3 or 8-2 in the first 10 games, I'd take that. Nobody thought Northwestern was going to be a challenge, or at least a team to, challenge you. I know they've been struggling, and Northwestern's running into a buzzsaw playing Iowa, then Michigan, now this Illinois team. So the first 10 Big Ten games are harder than people thought originally, because they didn't think Northwestern would be as good. But, yeah.
And I still don't know how good Northwestern is. I mean,
well, they're not as good as
they beat mediocre Michigan State, and who else did they beat? Indiana,
and Ohio State. I mean, it's actually good. I mean, those 3 wins are.
And Ohio State hasn't really proven they're great.
Yeah, yet, so I mean, the only team
in the middle tier.
The only team in the Big Ten that hasn't lost a game is Michigan. But you look at their wins, it's like, who did they like? Maryland, Nebraska, Penn State, Northwestern. I think those are their 4 wins. Yeah. They're a good team, but I don't know. I mean, I think people probably underrated Michigan coming into the season.
Michigan's got a really easy schedule. I saw today that they don't go to Iowa, Illinois, or Rutgers this year.
Yeah, I mean,
so they should have the easiest path to be ahead of the Big Ten. Back to the game. I was sick. We were supposed to do our watch party, so I watched this game laying in bed, not feeling very well. So I didn't take any notes. So all the people that hate me breaking down the game like play by play, you're welcome. So we basically I got like my thoughts on every player, and then some keys to the game that I thought. So but Frazier took the first shot for the team, missed it. Took it another three, missed it. And I just talked about the plus minus. Frazier, Illinois was 0 with Frazier in, but Frazier kept shooting, and I thought his D against Stefanovic was very good. He did lose him early in the game, and Stefanovic hit it open three, and then to start the second half, Painter ran a play for him, and as we seem to see a lot is the other team has a heck of a lot better plan in the second half than Illinois does. But again, Frazier played really well. He was 3 of 6, I think, or no, Stefanovic was 3 of 6. So only held Stefanovic to 9 points, which I'll take. Frazier was 1 of 4 from 3. So he's still getting shots up. He's not hitting them as we would like, but still a good game from him overall, I think, regardless of that plus minus number. So Hawkins, Georgie, and Curbelo, the first 3 in, which was new. Usually Grandison's in there or nobody. I don't but Underwood did keep Io out on the court this time, so he didn't take out Io and Kofi as soon as he brought in his first subs.
He probably listened
good.
to the pod.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that's why Hawkins got some quality minutes in the game. But they were talking, apparently Underwood in the Zoom interview, because that's how they have all their interviews before the games, said that Hawkins had his best practice ever and said that he was going to get some early time. So maybe this is just Underwood. Like we've always kind of questioned him, but like unless you have a good practice, you don't get to play. I don't understand that
kind
thought
weird
process, but we kind of saw it last year, when Tevion would have a good practice and he'd get some minutes and then he would sit for 4 games. Hawkins hasn't played in 3 games. Hasn't even touched the court. I think he played for 30 seconds in that Penn State game or something with no time left. But I thought he played well. Came in and got a nice offensive rebound early. Gave a nice little dish to Io down low. I think Io made it and then missed the and one because that's what Illinois does. But he went 2-2 from the field, made a 3, had 2 rebounds. And I was just looking at this, like Illinois' 8 guys deep. Like we talked about Illinois' depth all preseason, how deep this team's going to be. And the 8th guy off the bench is playing 5 minutes. We don't know what's going on with Bosman Verdonk. Hutcherson, I assume he's out for the year, and nobody's really talking about him. And then Grandison just doesn't get any time because I'm guessing that he didn't play hard enough in practice or whatever. So really Illinois is playing a 7-man rotation, it seems like, with, another guy coming in for, 3-4 minutes or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So definitely not as deep as we thought starting off the season.
I guarantee Grandison gets minutes against Northwestern.
Yeah, he'll probably come off the bench first.
You're facing a lineup that has 6'7", 6'9", 6'10". I think that means that you'll see all of them. I think Grandison will get minutes because
just more time.
Yeah,
gotcha. Yeah, and Georgie came off in that, or came in with those guys. Georgie had 13 minutes, didn't really do anything impressive, didn't do anything terrible except for missing his 3. Dropped down to 75% on the season, so not real happy about that. But he took a 3. It was not pretty. He I think he had 3 rebounds. How many rebounds did he have?
Doesn't matter.
2 rebounds. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at is he didn't really do much. And when he was in, Edie with his size, height, I guess, not size, and Williams just kind of ate him up. Georgie really couldn't do anything against those guys, but I guess he's given Kofi the rest that he needs. So that's all we want from Georgie. Some positive minutes without doing anything too dumb. So, but I thought Io, he was there the first half, carried the team basically through the first half. It seemed like 5 of 10 from the field with 12 points. To end the half, he ended up 5 of 13 from the field with 12 points. So basically non-existent in the second half. Really, he seemed to pass up some shots. He did take one that he probably should have passed up. Missed both his threes. And it just wasn't very IO like, but I think that's good for this team. They had 4 guys scoring double digits. They didn't need IO to score 30, and they still got a win. So it's just it's okay. And I don't know how many times this is that we've had 4 guys in double digits. I want to say it's only like the second or third.
Well, I mean,
Counting those early season games,
yeah,
I don't know.
I feel like Duke, they were probably close to that.
Yeah,
They might have been 3 in that game.
Yeah. Underwood after the game said that, quote, I was pleased to see some balanced scoring on our part. It's always good to see that, particularly in conference games. So he also was happy that, we have more guys scoring. One of those guys that got the double digits was Miller. Like you said, his defense is definitely better. His shooting is still iffy, I would say, at best. He was 2 of 6. All his shots were from 3. Had 10 points, 4 of 7 from the free throw line, which kind of makes me more upset than 2 of 6 from 3. Honestly, like you're supposed to be the shooter and you go 4 of 7 from the line. Kind of disappointing, but he wasn't terrible. He was better than he has been in a lot of games, and Illinois is going to need him going forward to make 2 or 3 threes, and play solid defense and just kind of not do things that hurt the team. He still takes some questionable shots, kind of how you were talking about DeMonte, where he took one questionable shot. I think Miller took like 3 probably, but that's what he does. I mean, a shooter's going to shoot. What do they say? So, but it was a good game. It wasn't a great game, but it was good enough. So, Kofi, like we said before, would have been my player of the game, but free throw shooting was abysmal. But he's 7 of 9 from the field, 14 points, 10 rebounds, another double-double. I believe it's like his 19th of his career. So, and he had one of the best moves I've ever seen from Kofi in this game. Caught the ball down low, took two little dribbles across the lane, and just had a nice little touch baby hook, which you haven't seen from Kofi a lot. Usually when he's moving and dribbling, it's not ending up well, and he looked very smooth. And his defense was really good against Trevion Williams. They kept talking about how Trevion Williams had this date circled and Trevion Williams was going to get his. And like, that's all I swear that's all the announcers talked about. But, I felt like Kofi didn't completely shut him down, but I mean, Trevion went 7 of 14. Kofi had 2 blocks on him, I believe. So definitely played good enough defense against him and was pretty dominant on the offensive end when he got the ball. In Big Ten play, Kofi is now 4th in scoring in the Big Ten, 20.4 points, which is behind Harper, who has 25, Garza, who has 24, and Io, who has 20.8. So Kofi's really showing up in these, opening Big Ten games, which is nice to see. And then last guy, DeMonte, your player of the game. He just keeps being the best shooter on the team. I mean, that's what he does. He had his second double-double of his career, which was also his second double-double of the season. So I put in here is he more than just a glue guy? Can we stop calling him a glue guy? I mean, he's pretty much the guy when Io and Kofi aren't doing anything. I mean, he's the third guy on the team right now. He's not just the glue guy, but and then after the game, they asked him about his shooting and stuff, and this just seems like the most DeMonte thing ever. He said, "quote I take my shots in practice and before the game, and when I get the chance, I take them in the game, and I try to knock them in."
All right.
So, you know, he was very good. And when Io wasn't being a hard rocking dude in this game,
Yep.
DeMonte stepped up and did what he had to do. So, um, so that's kind of my breakdown of the players, what I thought. And then just a little bit more about the game. The big, talking points. I guess we already talked about free throws and how bad that was. The other one was this game was a game of runs. Illinois went on like a little 10-0 run before half, made it 20 or 33-20, and then Purdue hits a fadeaway 3 to get it within 10, and then Illinois comes out and just craps the bed, to put it politely. And Purdue goes on a 19-0 run, takes a lead. And it was not good. But Curbelo, I feel like he can help that, when teams go on runs like that. Curbelo being able to just toss one up to Kofi to get a bucket when we need to is really good to have. He had 3 or 4 alley-oops to Kofi, I think. And Underwood said about Curbelo, we love to watch him play, and we like to see what he does. We think that he gets a little too crazy, but Underwood said that, quote, "You should see him in practice. It's pretty cool. Passes between the defender's legs. He does it all. On the court during the game, he is finding his balance." So I think he's talking about, he's doesn't need to do that stuff during the game or try to do too much. But he's out there probing things and figuring it out, which I think is really good. And the defense got a little bit better, kind of helped drive this win with Illinois. But I think Purdue, they played a kind of a drop down defense, kind of kept it inside. Illinois went 7 of 20 from 3, so they're getting up their 23s. That's what I like to see. Make a few more of them, and this game's not close at all. And just don't let Purdue they can't let teams go on 19-0 runs. That's not good. But again, we talked about free throws already. Illinois shot 40.9%, but here's a stat for you Illini fans out there. Illinois is 4-0 in the last 10 years when shooting 41% or worse from the free throw line. So we'll take it. We won't take it. They definitely got to figure that out, especially going into, the heart of the Big Ten season. Free throw shooting and then turnovers was the other big thing. Illinois is the worst in the Big Ten, averaging 14 a game. So they need to figure that out, or they're going to drop some games that they probably shouldn't. But overall, good win. A win is a win is a win is a win in the Big Ten. So I'll take it.
Well, the fact that they're 4-1 in the Big Ten, having the most turnovers per game, is encouraging because I think that they can turn that around. And I think, most of the turnovers aren't even really coming from Curbelo per game, right? Like, how many is he averaging?
2 maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nothing. I mean, I think Io's probably leading the team in turnovers, honestly.
Yeah, they still make a lot of stupid plays that I wish they wouldn't make. But imagine going on a 19-0 run in the second half and losing the game by 8.
Yeah. Thank goodness that Illinois had a 10-point lead going into that second half. I mean, it would have been bad. It was bad. It was hard to watch for that first 5 minutes or whatever it was in the second half.
I think here's what happened. I was starting to eat dinner during the second half when it started, and I had the game on, but the volume was off, so I really wasn't paying that much attention. And then when I turned the volume back on, yeah, they were losing, and then I turned the volume back on. Then they start to come back. So I think that's kind of I shifted the momentum for everybody. So I apologize for letting it get like that, but right when I got back,
if we were having our watch party, you would have never sat down to eat your cheese pizza.
They probably would have been up about 30 in the middle of the second half.
But I did see that Illinois 4-1 is their best start since like 2012,
where they just collapsed.
Yeah, and then if they beat they play Northwestern next.
Yeah,
if they beat Thursday. Northwestern and go 5-1, that will be the best start since let's get back to it, 2005 team. So
they were 6-0, right? And then like 20-0, and then like
I don't know. I think they started.
They lost. They lost their last. I thought they lost. The only game that they lost was their last Big Ten game.
That sounds right.
So they were like, how many games did they play? Like 18. So they're 17-0. This team is not that team. So
it's definitely not that team.
A little bit different. Now Purdue is like one of the youngest teams in the Big Ten, right?
Yes,
they're gonna be good in a couple of years.
Yeah, they are. That Edie kid puts on.
He's gonna be a problem.
He's gonna be hard to stop. 7'4".
I was gonna say.
Has some nice touch.
Losing Kofi, presumably after the season, is gonna hurt in Big Ten play, unless they can get this transfer that I'm gonna be talking about at the end.
Okay. Well, you know what? They need to start sending videos of Curbelo tossing it up to Kofi.
Yep.
Because that's how you're gonna get kids. Like, I mean, hey, look at this guy. Just lobs it up to
him. Yeah. Net rankings have arrived, and I really don't understand why they couldn't have done the net rankings in February. Like the fact that we have Colgate in the top 25 is a problem. You're telling me
when you said that I'm like, what?
You're telling me that Colgate is 94 spots better than Michigan State? Okay. I mean, I don't get it. You also got teams that have played like 3 games. Like, how many games has Colgate played? I don't think they played very many. It's
I don't know.
It's worse than last year. We'll just
I'm not up on my Colgate stats this year, but
yeah, they have played. Where the hell? I can't even find them. Yeah, but it's bad. It's, and Drake being 16th. I mean, Drake is 13-0, and they've played 0 opponents in the top 2 quads. So another problem. But we'll get to more net rankings in a little bit. Illinois is 4th, so they're great in that regard, which doesn't surprise me because if you look at all the metrics, Illinois is a metric sweetheart, I think is what they would say.
They are, which they haven't been late the last few seasons, right?
Well, yeah, they're apparently very efficient, which surprises me a little bit. Not really shooting. The offensive efficiency being as good as it is doesn't surprise me. The defense one a little bit.
Is it just scoring? Like, it doesn't factor in accounts that they turn the ball over 14 times a game?
Yeah, I don't know. But even if they do, I think their percentage from the field and 3 is so good that it kind of probably helps or washes some of the turnovers out, whatever the hell you're going to say. National ranks, 4th in rebound margin, not surprising, plus 13.4. 8th in field goal percentage at 52.7. 11th in three-point percentage at 41.8. And 22nd in scoring, 85.4. So 85.4, them averaging that just shows you how many points they were scoring at the beginning of the Big Ten and then the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So how many points did they score against Duke? 82 or whatever?
I think so.
Yeah, and then they scored 88 against Rutgers, 92 or whatever against Minnesota. They scored 1 million against the first 2 teams.
83 against Duke.
Yeah. Well, last couple of games have pretty much been the exact same against teams in the state of Indiana. So you go over to the state of Illinois, now you're playing an in-state rival. Let's get some scoring going because I'll tell you right now, Northwestern, not great defensively. Not great.
No.
So let's go now to the AP poll, which is meaningless. The AP poll is, mostly meaningless for the most part. I think the net rankings are more important, which sucks because they're so bad. Hopefully that gets adjusted. But Illinois moves up to number 12. 4th team in the Big Ten, which surprises me a little bit. Iowa's 5th, Wisconsin is 8th, Michigan's 10th. Now, the AP poll is not something to look at in terms of ranking top teams in the conferences because I promise you right now, Illinois is better than Wisconsin and Michigan. I mean, Michigan's better than Wisconsin too, I think. So the only thing that Wisconsin really has going for them during this stretch is that they're so experienced that the average age of their starting five is older than the average age of the current Chicago Bulls. So a lot of experience for Wisconsin. So that's all they got. And then, of course, Illinois one spot ahead of Missouri. Oh my God. Oh yeah, like head-to-head matters in the AP poll.
Right.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Illinois has 3 losses. Big deal. They're 3
Nothing
quality
better than
losses.
Salty Missouri fans, though.
Yeah, Missouri, didn't they almost lose to Bradley? I mean, that's Ohio, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So, don't know why Missouri fans are complaining. I mean, it's one spot, and their excuse was, number 1, we beat them head-to-head. Number 2, they have 3 losses. That's not how it works. If it worked that way, Duke would not be in the top 25 anymore. Michigan State would not be in the top 25 anymore. I think they both are, right? I mean, I think they're both in my top 25.
Are you searching hashtag Mizzou these days, or how?
No, I saw a tweet from someone who covers Missouri that said, like, Missouri, Illinois, and St. Louis were like super high ranked, and that's when I saw Missouri fans bitching about it. So
Gotcha.
Good for them that they're worried about Illinois. That's kind of funny. They've beaten Illinois 3 times in a row now, right? Yet they're still concerned about being one spot behind them in a January Associated Press poll, which most of the people that do those polls are 85-year-old morons who don't watch the games. So there you go.
They saw, hey, this team won, this team lost. There we go.
And head-to-head is the number one thing I guess we got to look at, huh? Isn't Duke ahead of Michigan State? Michigan State beat Duke. What's up with that? That's all I got to say about that. Let's preview the Thursday game. Illinois, Northwestern.
Okay.
In-state stuff. Northwestern was 18th or whatever last week, I think. Now they're unranked because they've lost 2 in a row. They got obliterated by Michigan and beat up by Iowa. So they're 6-3. They're 3-2 in the Big Ten. And a week later, Illinois passes them. All the talk from me too. Northwestern 3-0, top of the Big Ten, completely flipped now. Illinois 4-1, 8-3 for the year, number 12. And Northwestern lost by 15 to Iowa, and they lost by 19 to Michigan. But that Michigan game wasn't even 19 close. It was ugly. And Haslametrics doesn't like Northwestern. 67th on Haslametrics. Illinois 3rd behind Gonzaga and Baylor. Offensive efficiency, Northwestern 51, Illinois 12. And defensive efficiency, Northwestern 109, Illinois 1.
Illinois is number 1?
Yeah. So there you go. They keep moving up the charts. I mean, they passed. I think they were number 2 overall last week, and then I think Baylor or Gonzaga passed them. So
that's crazy.
Whatever. Field goal percentage versus the average opponent, which I think this is definitely different than the normal field goal percentage stat. But this is an average opponent. I don't know what they consider to be that. Maybe I'll ask them over there at haslametrics.com, the greatest metrics site in the world.
Over there.
Northwestern 37, Illinois 2. So Illinois has the advantage metrically speaking, if that's a word. But Northwestern, they have 4 emerging players in that starting 5. Miller Kopp, Pete Nance, Chase Audidge, and Boo Buie. I don't know if it's Audidge or whatever. I'm just going to go with it. Those 4 have been really good. And I think that Chris Collins has just done a great job coaching a team with, probably a bottom 4 roster overall in the Big Ten. Like, they have good players, but they're not that deep in terms of talent.
I mean, Pete Nance was an announcer or something.
That is a player named Pete Nance.
Oh, okay.
Larry Nance's son, I think.
Okay.
And then there's Larry Nance Jr., who's in the NBA.
Yeah.
But I remember last year he's just not big enough to deal with Kofi. So 6'10", 225 is not going to do it. I mean, Trevion Williams is what? 6 whatever, 250, and he couldn't do it.
He couldn't do it.
I mean, how is Stephen Bardo still calling Brandon Godden Brian on accident from time to time? How is that still happening? They've been calling games for over a year together. And he's like, well, here's the thing, Brandon. Come on, man. You got to figure it out. I know they're not together, but come on. Yeah.
I don't know.
They were ranked as one of the bottom 3 teams coming into the season of the Big Ten. I did it too. I thought Northwestern, Nebraska.
They still might be there. I mean, the seasons are.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
3-2 now. They're going to soon be 3-3.
Nebraska and Penn State are pretty bad, and Maryland's not very good either. But they're number 50 in the net, so the net with a huge, like, I mean, I don't even, the net rankings are so damn confusing, so I can't wait to talk about
How many
those.
teams does Illinois have in the top 50?
How many does the Big Ten have? You said Illinois.
Yeah, you know what I meant.
Yeah, they have 12 in the top 51 because Indiana's 51st.
Okay.
Everybody except for Michigan State and Nebraska, which, if you were to tell me in January the first net rankings dropped and Michigan State's 119, I don't think I would have bought that. But we'll get into all that later. Northwestern schedule, they have wins over Arkansas, Pine Bluff, Chicago State, who Illinois killed. Quincy, Michigan State, Indiana, Ohio State are their wins. And what's crazy is that they gave up 66 points to Chicago State. How is that possible? How many did Illinois give up to them? 20? 40? Sure. I mean, I think it was like 66 is a 13. Lot. You gave up 48 points to a team named Quincy that's probably not even real.
It's got to be Quincy out of like Quincy, Illinois, right?
It just said Quincy, and there was no logo, so they definitely weren't like a D1 program.
No, it's got to be the JUCO Quincy over in Quincy, Illinois.
You only beat them by 52. I mean, you got to beat those guys by like 90.
Yeah, those key, yeah.
Just they gave up a lot of points. I mean, Pittsburgh, they gave up 71. They gave up 65 to Michigan State. Michigan State was horrible that night, 67 to Indiana, 70 to Ohio State.
I think everybody, took into account, hey, they beat Michigan State. And now we're finding out that Michigan State's really not that good. What'd they beat Nebraska by? 7? I mean,
well, it's kind of the Big Ten. Any given night at the Big Ten.
Michigan State's having a hard time getting one any given night these days.
Nebraska has players. I mean, every team in the Big Ten has good players and players that are good enough to, take over a game one night.
Have a night.
Yeah. Sure. Everyone's got those guys. Illinois has like 3 of them, I would say. At least 2.
Yeah.
Wait till Adam Miller gets going.
I'd say they have like 8.
Adam Miller's going to take over the Big Ten in February. But anyway.
That's what I like to hear.
Northwestern's projected lineup, which I never actually get these right because I look at their last game and who they started, and they always change it. Illinois is like the only team in the country that has the same lineup every night. But anyway, Chase Ottage, who is a 6'4" sophomore, averaging 12 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. Boo Buie, 6'2", 180, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists, sophomore. Miller Kopp, 6'7", 215, junior, averaging 14 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Robbie Barron, 6'9", 215, sophomore, averaging 7, 3, and 1. And Pete Nance, 6'10", 225, junior, averaging 11, 6, and 1. So, the size-wise, they're similar to Minnesota, that they have a 6'2" guard who can score. I mean, I know Boo Buie is not Marcus Carr, but he's good.
He's good, yeah.
Now, I think their 3 bigs, or whatever you want to call them, they're not going to stop Kofi. So I think this is a Kofi game here.
Yeah, it is. You definitely going to have to give it to Kofi and let him, get his 15 to 20 points. And
that's the thing. Like, there's no bigs in the Big Ten that can be super physical and effective against Kofi, because if what's his face, Trevion Williams can't do it, I don't know who can.
Yeah,
Garza's not going to do it defensively.
And that's the big thing about the Purdue game was Kofi played great defense against Trevion and didn't foul. And that's something that we didn't know. Kofi last year got in a lot of foul trouble. And this year he seems to be able to figure it out. He's playing a lot better straight up defense, not leaving his feet against the big guys, which you can't do. I understand him trying to jump up and, try to block one from the guards, trying to lay one over. But, he's doing a good job playing defense on these guys. So, interesting that they have a 6'9" guy, and a 6'10" guy. When I was talking to my buddy, Troy, he thinks that Curbelo should start, and he would also start Georgie. This would be a game where you could probably start Georgie.
It'll never happen, but
just with the size. I don't think it will happen. But Illinois is going to have to learn, when they play teams like this, to be able to play with both those guys in. They don't do it all that often. But I honestly, I think that Hawkins should start taking a little bit of that time from Georgie, and put Hawkins and Georgie in there, and let Georgie play the five where he's. I don't know why they keep saying he's comfortable at a four, because he doesn't look comfortable at his four.
Yeah.
But let him make those moves inside and do what Georgie does best, I think. But,
yeah, I agree. I'd be surprised if Underwood changes the lineup.
Yeah, he's not going to change the lineup at this point. I mean, we've been talking about it every game, so I don't think he's going to change it. This would be a situation where it might be beneficial, but I guess you put Io on Barron. I mean, who do you put Io on?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's your biggest guy, right? That you're going to have.
Yeah, then you got to probably go Frazier against Boo Booey.
Yeah.
Miller against one of the other two.
Yeah.
Probably Oddage, and then probably DeMonte against Kopp.
Yep.
Yeah. They just got to weather the early. They just got to play well defensively, and then they got to get a nice little lead going. I mean, don't start out sloppy. Hopefully, I mean, last year when they played against this team on the road, they killed them, and Alan Griffin had 1,000,000 points. So hopefully, maybe Adam Miller has an Alan Griffin night. We'll see.
There we go.
That would be good. So yeah, I mean, Northwestern, unique challenge. I mean, they are clearly overachieving at 3-2 in the Big Ten. I think that's obvious, but they have 9 guys who played more than 10 minutes against Michigan, so they use a lot of players.
But you look, Iowa beat them by 15. Michigan beat them by
19,
40 or whatever it was.
19, but it was basically 25.
So I think for Illinois to prove that they are in that elite, with those top 3, throw Rutgers in top 4, Wisconsin top 5. I feel like they're all kind of in there together. But to prove that, I think that they need to win this game by a bunch.
That would be good. I would take a win if it's by 1, though.
A win's a win's a win's a win.
Especially in the Big Ten.
That's right.
We're not talking about the West Coast, like if Gonzaga lost to San Francisco. So, yeah, which didn't you say Gonzaga was going to lose to San Francisco and they beat them?
I did not. I said that didn't San Francisco give them a game last year. I do know a guy that bet San Francisco plus 19. What a terrible bet. I tell you what.
Well, it was the West Coast tournament last year, and I remember Gonzaga almost lost that game because Dickie V was on the calls, like one of the last games of the year before everything changed. Yeah, Gonzaga won that game by 23. So it was actually like a 7-point game at half, I think, but Gonzaga pulled away. All right, predictions for this game. What do you got?
I got Illinois. I'm tired of saying Illinois is going to score 80 and they score 60 or whatever it is. So I got 78-64 Illinois. And
I'm going to say they score 88.
There you go.
Completely flipped.
I hope they do.
88-70.
Tired of it, though.
So I have them winning by 18. You have them winning by 14.
Tired of over-predicting them.
Yeah. I don't know how the hell. We're pretty good with margins in the Big Ten. We've been pretty good. I mean, we both had 8 last time. We nailed that, but we'll see. Just win, I would say, should be the message from us if the players are listening to this or watching this. Right. Just win. That's all you got to do. All right, around the Big Ten. 12 Big Ten teams in the top 51. You have Illinois 4, Michigan 6, Iowa 7. And I love that they put Michigan ahead of Iowa because Iowa fans are probably pissed, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Michigan doesn't have as good of a resume in terms of who they've played. They have a weak schedule, but they're undefeated, and they've been really impressive. Hunter Dickinson, he hasn't had a huge challenge in terms of a matchup yet, and that'll come when they face – do they face Iowa at home? I'm assuming they do.
I don't know.
When they face the big dogs, we'll say.
Michigan does not go to Iowa, Illinois, or Rutgers. I do know that.
But they play them, right?
I don't know.
Well, that's Miles Johnson, Luka Garza.
I would assume that they play them.
Yeah, so
I don't know how they get around that, but
yeah, it's not possible.
Yeah, they play March 4th. So
yeah, so wait for that. Wisconsin 11, Rutgers 17, Ohio State 27, Maryland 32, Penn State 42, Minnesota 43, Purdue 47, Northwestern 50, Indiana 51. How the hell is Maryland 32nd? I don't get that. I really don't.
I don't know.
Like,
they had one good win, right?
Yeah, they're 6-5, and their record against the various quads.
They beat Wisconsin. That's about it.
Yeah, they're 1-5. 1-5 against quad 1.
That's crazy. Yeah, that is crazy.
6. I guess. So their 5 losses being against quad 1 probably helps them, since they have 5 quad 1 losses, 1 quad 1 win, and then 5 quad 3 wins. Or, yeah, 6-5. Yeah. So that's that. Illinois is what with quad wins? What are they?
That's you, man.
Hang on.
You have it down at the bottom.
1-3, 4-0. Yeah. You put notable games since last pod, because I know I didn't do this.
I just put, since the last
that's a good update.
We had, updates on some games. Wisconsin beat Minnesota 71-59, so good win for Wisconsin there. After Minnesota was started off really hot after Illinois beat them, so I really thought Minnesota would win that game, and then Wisconsin just kind of put them away. Iowa beat Rutgers 77-75 in a great basketball game. If you didn't get to watch it, it was a heck of a game. Kind of weird ending to it, but still a good game overall. Michigan State finds their first Big Ten win against Nebraska, like I said, 84-77. So Nebraska hanging around with Michigan State also. So Minnesota then goes and beats Ohio State by 17. And then Michigan beats Northwestern, as we talked about, 85-66. And then Rutgers plays Michigan State tonight.
That'll be a good game. I think that's 8 o'clock on ESPN2, I want to say. I can't watch it, unfortunately, because I'm busy, but it's a good game.
Are you busy, dude?
What am I doing? I'm watching the U.S. versus Canada in the World Junior Championships gold medal game. Gold medal game, yeah. I will be watching big time, all over that.
Enjoy.
The U.S. is probably going to get curb stomped, but that's besides the point. Illinois has the most quad 1/quad 2 wins in the Big Ten with 5. They're 5-3 overall. I think they're 1-3 in quad 1 and 4-0 in quad 2. So not bad. I mean, I think you take that. Michigan's 4-0 against quad 1/2. Iowa's 3-2. And then other net rankings, the 2 teams outside of the top 51 in the Big Ten. Michigan State's 119, which is insane to me. I mean, they're not good. They shouldn't be in the top 25. I'm an idiot for putting them at 24 in my rankings. It's a weak move by me, Big Ten bias. You can call me out for it. I agree. And then Nebraska's 186. So, yeah. So the 2 teams that aren't in the top 51 aren't even close to the top 51. But it's going to take about a month for them to really figure out how to not make these rankings suck as much as they do right now.
I mean, Michigan State beats Rutgers tonight, and they probably jump 60 spots, right?
They'll probably be 40-ish next week or whatever. Yeah, it's bad. I mean, I can't even really start my bracketology, which is a word we can use now. I mean, we're a couple months away from the tournament. You can start to use the B word in college basketball, which is bracketology, and I can use that. So it's going to take me a while to figure out how I'm going to really structure these seedings this year, and hopefully the tournament doesn't get canceled. So we're going to talk about the tournament now.
Yeah.
Dan Gavitt, the big shot, NCAA basketball president or whatever. He would like to set dates for the 2021 tournament sooner rather than later, and there's venues that have been picked. 3 different cities and 6 different venues. I'm assuming probably the Elite 8 and the Final 4 and all that will probably be mostly in Indianapolis. You have Bankers Life Fieldhouse, which is, I guess, where Ball State plays, apparently.
That's where the Big Ten tournament is.
Yeah. Lucas Oil, which is Lucas Oil is absolutely going to be where the Final Four championship is. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's where the Horizon League plays their tournament, I guess. Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is where a terrible Butler team plays. They're not good this year. Indiana Farmers Coliseum, where IUPUI, which is Indiana something.
University, Purdue University at Indianapolis. I don't know. What it is.
Whatever. Bloomington Assembly Hall, and then Mackey Arena in West Lafayette. So Indiana and Purdue. I'm assuming those will be like play-in games or whatever, or first round. I can't freaking wait for this. I mean, I'll tell you this. I'm ready for us to start in about a month and a half. Countdown to March Madness, where we actually have a March Madness that's going to happen.
Right.
Unless we run into issues of COVID stuff, which is
the
going
to... NCAA posted at midnight and said of the new year and said there will be a tournament this year.
There's going to be a tournament, but I just don't want to run into issues with that.
Right.
I think they got to bring all the players in for 10 days.
Yeah.
After the conference tournaments.
They're not calling it a bubble, right? They're calling it a contained plane.
Yeah, which they can pull it off, but I think they need to bring in the players for 7 days at least.
Yeah.
And make sure they test negative before they can actually go.
Sure.
Like what the other leagues did with the bubbles is everyone was testing negative so they could go. And then when you get there, it's pretty contained. But anyway, he also said the names of the 4 regions have not been determined. Who cares about that? I just want to have a tournament. But,
right.
Some people might be interested. He says no games will be played on back-to-back days. That has been given no consideration. Bracket is announced on March 15th. The tournament will be concluded on April 5th. What does that even mean? No games on back to what?
Players, so they'll have a day off like they do anyways.
We're still gonna have Thursday, Friday, right? We need that.
I would assume
we better have that. This is a normal date. I mean, 3:15 to 4:05 is pretty standard, right?
Right.
He said they will have contingency plans in place. Once you start the tournament, it's very difficult to stop it if a Tier 1 member tests positive. So I would feel bad to not be a Tier 1 member. You must be not cool. You're not Tier 1. But he said there hasn't been anything specific yet, but the plan is to have 68 teams. They'll have 37 at-large bids since the Ivy League is not playing. Which, the Ivy League, they're smarter than everybody, huh? What a joke. The whether media will be, who the hell cares about this, but I'll say it because it's the last quote, on whether the media will be at the tournament, aside from the broadcast crews. This is yet to be determined. Thank you for that.
So that means that fans are yet to be determined also.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we're going to be in a different spot with this in March.
What if you have a vaccine? What if you have the vaccine? Can you go?
I don't know. They also have the whole thing how can you prove that you got it?
Carry your card around.
Should people be willing to give them access to their medical records for this? I mean, that's a little extreme.
I don't want to get into that.
It's a mess, is what it is. But I think in March we'll be on the road to real recovery here. I actually think that March Madness is going to hit at a perfect time because it's going to start to warm up in a lot of places.
I hope so, yeah.
And we should just roll right through, and hopefully we do, because I do miss the days of sitting on a chair for 12 hours watching a million games. It was good days. But, Countdown to March Madness is coming probably in 6 weeks, 5 weeks. Last year we started on February 17th. Little did we know the tournament would not happen. We did, I had this pulled up. We did 5 episodes.
Really?
The first one, new AP poll, top 16 committee rankings had come out in February. Yeah, we did 4 of them, and they were each super long. The first one was an hour 40. So, yeah. That's good. How about the fact that Gonzaga,
back in the good old days,
Gonzaga's 10-0 and 5-0 neutral site. They have no true road games yet.
Really?
Yeah, which is weird, but whatever. They're also 4-0 in Quad 1, and they're not only 4-0, they dominated those Quad 1 teams.
Yeah.
I mean, not even close. So let me ask you this. Do you agree with the top 5 in the net? Gonzaga, Baylor, Tennessee, Illinois, Michigan?
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a problem with them.
What I don't agree with is Houston ahead of Iowa. Are you serious?
I think, yeah, I'm surprised with that.
Houston lost to Tulsa.
Yeah, I don't understand how this stuff works.
Well, the fact that they did it when, you look at a team let's see, what's a good example? Syracuse is 24th. They've played 7 games.
Yeah.
That's nothing. St. Louis and Missouri have played 8. Most of the teams in the top 30 aren't teams that have played more than 10 games. Penn State being 39th at 3-4. What? Okay, so Colgate went from 16 to 46. So that's been changed.
They've already dropped.
And Northwestern moved back to 55, so I did these notes like a day ago. Yeah, I did these notes like a day ago.
Gonzaga, Baylor, Tennessee, Illinois. They have Michigan 5 now.
Yeah, Colgate went from 16 to 46. Colgate was 16th in the original rankings at 1-1. So they must have done some adjustment because they haven't played a game since, but they moved them back 30 spots. So if you're a Colgate alum, you must be pissed. There you go. Let's see. I already did the venues thing. I guess it's time for the transfer news.
The big news. Let's hear it.
This player recently took a leave of absence or left his team for personal reasons. That at West Virginia, Oscar Shubwe has entered the transfer portal. He was a 5-star in 2019, 6'9" center, 260 pounds. He's from Congo. He averaged 11 points and 10 rebounds last year. He averaged 8 points and 8 rebounds this year and then stepped away from the program. He's entered the transfer portal. He had an offer and a visit to Illinois in 2018. So maybe he should come on down. Just saying, if he wants to distance himself from the Big 12, doesn't want to go to Kansas. I know Kansas was another one of his teams, but
what happened?
I don't know. I thought that he would come back there eventually, but entering the transfer portal like 3 days after leaving is...
Was he not getting like enough playing time? I saw that his numbers were down a little bit.
His points were down 3 and his rebounds were down 2. I don't know how many games he actually played, but did you see the West Virginia game last night?
No, I didn't.
They were losing by like 20 to Oklahoma State with like 13 minutes left, and they won the game. So Oklahoma State, a team that I had in the top 30, I like them a lot because they have the number 1 freshman in the country probably, and they choked. So West Virginia, I mean, they still have a good team, but this would be, not only is he a good player and a 5-star and a guy you could probably make, I mean, he would automatically, if Kofi's gone, would be the center.
Body Illinois needs. Yeah.
He's only 6'9", which isn't even that much of a knock, but he's
100%.
260. So,
yeah.
This would be tremendous, especially if they lose Kofi, but he would automatically be playing a lot of minutes if he came to Illinois.
And like he automatically gets a bye, right? Like he's in.
He should.
In it to win it. The thing is, it's going to be hinging on does Kofi leave, right?
Which Kofi is going to, if he keeps playing like this, why wouldn't he leave?
Yeah, he's absolutely going to leave. I agree.
Of course, we thought the same about Io. Might have another pandemic this year, so watch out. There's like a million strains of this thing, so you never know what's going to happen.
Never played more than 29 minutes a game this year. And he only played 13 against North Texas.
His name is Shubwe, which, I mean, you got to get that in here. Definitely.
Shuby. Okay. Cool.
So, yeah, 5-star, already gone.
I can't believe you.
2 years.
Did you, you message him on the Twitters? Is that how you figured that out? Or
I know a lot of things, It's kind of how it goes. I probably got the scoop before Rothstein did.
Yeah, obviously. You probably gave it to Rothstein.
I mean, I could have. So another thing is that Penn State and Ohio State's game tomorrow has been postponed. So something's going on with Penn State. I don't know.
Yeah, Penn State being shady. That's a surprise.
Yeah, what are they doing? I said a couple podcasts ago that they shouldn't be in the Big Ten.
Yeah, kick them out.
Where is this? I don't even think Rothstein tweeted it. I guess I'm number 1 on this sucker.
I saw 247 put it out, but that's all I saw.
Yeah, but I was before them, obviously.
Well, obviously. Oh my goodness. End of the show.
Yeah, it is almost the end of the show, yes. This is a good tweet I gotta read. This is a good tweet. So I'm looking at the replies to the tweet about him transferring.
Mm-hmm.
Hope he is leaving for family issues. Would be really stupid to leave when he's perfect for West Virginia because some family member gave him really bad advice. Someone said, imagine hoping someone has family issues. Woo. A lot of Arizona wants him. Georgetown wants him. These are fans saying it. Kentucky, Miami. Doesn't seem like anyone from Illinois, like the fans are usually wanting people. Don't see any replies. So I'll just say this. Don't get your hopes up. He's probably going to go to Kentucky. There you go. Have fun with that.
Memphis. Probably go to Memphis.
If he goes to Memphis, I'm going to have some issues if he goes to Memphis.
Memphis or Michigan. So.
All right, well.
Yeah.
I guess that wraps up episode 42. I guess we'll be back for 43 on Friday or Saturday. We might be doing a watch party Sunday night for the Maryland game. We'll see. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled. Hopefully it doesn't get canceled. The game and the watch party, both are important. And the game Thursday, you got to get that one in too. But
hopefully nobody gets sick. Jeez.
I would tend to agree with that.
No respect.
I think people are starving for the watch parties. Actually, I've been getting some DMs on the Twitter about it.
Should have had one by yourself. They could have watched you eat pizza in silence the other day.
That wouldn't have been good for people. They wouldn't have been good enough content and really waste of time and content.
Yeah,
but
we wouldn't want to, drop our content pool down. So
right. We may or may not have a newer look or format for the next podcast because we might be leaving the Zoom game.
Ethan might not lag next podcast too. So
that'll be good. That would be good. I'm just gonna change mics for the next podcast. That's what I'm gonna do. But all right, episode 43 coming later this week. Hopefully, Illinois beats Northwestern, and as always. I don't even say as always, so what am I doing? We'll see you next 43. We'll be halfway.